Part 80. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 791. Chapter 791 The World of Neurosis. Qinwan had no idea what to do. This was a major event in her life, and she couldn't make up her mind at the moment. Zhang Junlin couldn't force her anymore. A big change in Qinwan's life was originally a major event. Although she was not forced to make a decision, the pros and cons were analyzed clearly, and there was actually a direction. Qinwan's eggplant was beaten like frost, wilted and listless. North looked distressed, but did not admonish her. No one could make a decision for her except her. When Ji Huan arrived at Universal, Rong Li came to him and asked, "How is it?" "What did Zhang Junlin say?" "Don't have too much hope." Ji Xian analyzed Zhang Junlin's plan with him. "This matter will disrupt my brother's rhythm. He will not agree with it, and neither will Chen Liangdong. If he is with you, Chen Liangdong will for a job transfer. Do you think Qinwan will choose you or her father? This is not a multiple choice question. Rong Li also knows that Qinwan will not choose her no matter what. He is not that important yet. Chen Liangdong has to be sacrificed. Chen Liangdong is very important to the Zhang family, let alone the Chen family." Rong Li is a little frustrated. He just wants to pursue someone, like Romeo and Juliet. Is it so exaggerated? I don't quite understand how serious the domestic situation is. Stereotypes are getting worse. So, if you hope that he will agree, it is better to place your hope in Qinwan. Ji Sun was very lucky that his target was Zhang Junlin, not Qinwan, which was very confusing. Lu Ziwen was even more convinced. Give up your resolve as soon as possible and accept the reality. Ji Sun felt a little pity for him. "Third master, don't hit him, it's too miserable." Zhang Junlin was invited to dinner by General Mu again in the afternoon, and Mu Yuan was sent for selection. He had nothing to do recently, so he came to Zhang Junlin for dinner every day. Zhang Junlin couldn't refuse this dinner, so he had to go to it. This time Mu Yuan had nothing to do. The general proposed the idea of cooperation. In addition to Chen Liangdong, he would also pave the way for Gu Ziyu. Zhang Junlin was obviously unmoved. He asked about the special situation calmly and did not talk too hard. Zhang Junlin was already thinking about it and would not talk too much. General Mu did not become suspicious and talked to Zhang Junlin sincerely. "Who is the director who will take over?" Zhang Junlin asked straight to the point. "This is not convenient to disclose." "That's really not a sincere conversation." "Don't get me wrong, Mr. Zhang, it's inconvenient to disclose because this person's situation is a bit special. It hasn't been reviewed yet, and we don't have full confidence. Isn't it too childish to want my ultimate power without being completely sure?" "Well, even if I'm not sure, I will be 100% successful," he said helplessly. "Yeling." "Who is Yeling?" As if across a mountain, General Mu told Yeling's identity and background. Zhang Junlin remembered that he had heard gossip recently. His grandmother was talking about the gossip of the Ye family. The eldest son of the Ye family died, and there were two sons. If the eldest son died, one of the two brothers would choose to inherit the family business. But both sons were useless, but her eldest son left three sons for the Ye family, who were the grandsons of Mrs. Ye. The eldest grandson is an illegitimate child. In France, the second grandson is quite successful. He is educated in a prestigious university and is educated by elites. Although he is still young and has outstanding abilities, the news about the illegitimate child is relatively closed. Very few people in the country know the news, but the old lady doesn't know where she heard it. Yes, she said that the old lady of the Ye family didn't like her eldest grandson, and that this eldest grandson had some shameful illness. The specific disease is not clear. Old Mrs. Ye doesn't like her eldest son's lineage and favors her younger sons. Recently, the gossip about the Ye family is like a TV series. Let me think about it. General Mu was involved in a lawsuit. He had no choice but to mention Ye Ling's name, so he could only pray that Zhang Junlin would find out something, but his prayers obviously didn't work. Although it was difficult to find out, Zhang Junlin still found Ye Ling's information. When it was placed in front of him, Zhang Junlin's face turned dark. Ye Ling actually has a history of mental illness that lasts for more than 10 years and has a dual personality. Isn't this another Lu Ziwen? His ultimate goal is to treat such a lunatic. Although Lu Ziwen has a dual personality, he is still emotionally stable. But when this man became ill and refused to recognize his relatives, he was truly insane. Zhang Junlin clapped his hand on the information and became furious. Absolutely impossible. Moi. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 792. Chapter 792 The Basic Right to Life. Gu Si didn't pay much attention to Ji Dao's affairs recently, and she also heard about Qin Wan and Rong Li's affairs. Zhang Junlin had already told her about Zhang Junlin's arrangement, and she was very supportive. There are advantages and disadvantages. For Zhang Junlin, it is better to give special circumstances. Zhang Junlin has the right to choose in this matter. Ji Dao has special characteristics after all. Even if General Mu puts pressure on Zhang Junlin can ignore the power and stick to his own opinion. Chen Liangdong and General Mu are not in the same camp, so it is impossible to listen to him. General Mu was very angry. I just hate that Mu Yuan is too young. He is only 16 years old. All the daughters of the Chen family are 26. If she doesn't mind that Xiao Yuan is underage, I would like to send Xiao Yuan to get married. It would be great to bring the Chen family into the same camp. Chen Liangdong vaguely heard his complaints and couldn't laugh or cry. Naturally, his daughter was a hot commodity, and many people were eyeing her and wanting to get married to his family. Even if Qin Wan really gave birth to a child out of wedlock, some people would be willing to do so, but if they were willing, Chen Liangdong might not. He knew clearly that he was going because of his family background, not Qin Wan, so why should he? After Gu Si heard the news, she talked with Qin Wan, deliberately not talking about the child or the situation, but just to let her relax. Qin Wan's file is located in Nanjing Hospital, and Gu Si can also see her information. She and the fetus are both healthy. In the dead of night, Lu Ziwen brought her a midnight snack. He has frequently brought her late-night snacks recently. They are all her favorite snacks and they are not greasy. Gu Si lost a little weight and asked, "Why do you have to stay up all night recently?" "I recently received a child with Down syndrome and congenital heart disease. I wanted to perform heart valve surgery on him. I originally wanted a mechanical valve, but I was worried that the family would not be able to afford to maintain the child for the rest of his life. He is 12 years old this year. He was an only child, and his parents ran a street stall. He was born with Down syndrome and heart problems. He was hospitalized for 5 years. The family sold an apartment and the burden was extremely heavy. He had been scheduled for heart surgery 3 years ago. There was no waiting, and the family gritted their teeth and planned to give him a machine, but after her mother became pregnant, the plan was shelved and he was asked to wait for a heart transplant. Lu Ziwen raised his eyebrows. This is human nature, seeking advantages and avoiding disadvantages, weighing the pros and cons. Gu Si is a doctor and has seen a lot of life, death, and human relationships. The hospital is the place with the most stories and the place that tests humanity the most. In fact, she can also understand that when parents only have one child, even if he is in trouble, he still has all the resources. All poured into him. But this child has Down syndrome. The IQ of a 12-year-old child is that of a 4 or 5-year-old. He also has heart disease and the cost of surgery is hundreds of thousands a year. It has brought down a family that is not wealthy. Now that he has a second child, he became an abandoned son of his parents. The poor child didn't know that he had become an abandoned son. His parents hadn't seen him for 2 days. They were all taken care of by the nurses, and they were still happy. Goosey I felt unhappy. He is very cute, and the little nurses in the inpatient department like him very much. Goosey I said of her patient, his parents don't want to bear the cost of this operation. They want to be discharged from the hospital. It's rare to wait until the heart source is available. If they don't do it, it's such a shame, and I'm pretty sure it will be successful, so I paid for the surgery. Lu Ziwen hesitated, smiled, and fed her a snack. Goosey I smiled lightly and asked, "Don't you agree? Have you ever thought that even if he survives in good health, he will still be a burden to the family?" Lu Ziwen analyzed from a considerable perspective. Maybe his parents feel that he is a burden. They have a chance to have a healthy child. He may not be welcomed, and even if he survives, he may not be happy. I know Goosey I didn't understand in her heart. These stories are staged every day in the hospital. Why don't I understand? Respecting life is the basic principle of human beings. We can't just watch this disease drag him to death. If he doesn't after surgery, he won't live for 3 years. Lu Ziwen touched her hair gently. After becoming a doctor, my heart softened. It makes me sound like I have a heart of stone. Goosey's assistant came in a hurry. "Dr. Gu, something happened. Xiao Yuan's parents are here to handle the discharge procedures for him." Goosey I frowned, stood up suddenly, and hurried out. Lu Ziwen tidied up the office resignedly. Goosey I quickly arrived at the ward. Xiao Yuan was Goosey's patient. His parents were both relatively young. His mother was 6 months pregnant. Goosey I heard from her pregnancy test doctor that she was pregnant with a baby. "My son, all the tests have been done, and he is in good health." When she was pregnant with Xiao Yuan, she took painkillers for toothache, which caused Xiao Yuan to be deformed. There is no defect in the couple's genes. Xiao Yuan's mother had packed his things, and Goosey I couldn't help but ask, "Xiao Yuan's mother, the surgery is scheduled for 3 days later, and Xiao Yuan's health can't have any problems, so why should we take him out of the hospital?" Xiao Yuan's mother's eyes were a little evasive. "We won't do the surgery anymore." "Why?" Goosey I didn't understand. Xiao Yuan's mother actually loved her children very much. Otherwise, she wouldn't have sold a house to treat her children in the past 10 years. Now that hope is around the corner, why did she give up? Goosey I has paid for the surgery fees and follow-up care, so she has no reason to give up. Dr. Gu, thank you for taking care of Xiao Yuan. Our whole family is very grateful to you." "Really," Xiao Yuan's mother said with red eyes, "we also have our own difficulties. Please understand, Xiao Yuan, he is a special child. Even if his operation is successful, the follow-up will be a burden to our family. He will need care like a child throughout his life. There is nothing we can do. Dr. Gu, please understand." The family wanted to take the patient out of the hospital, and Goosey I could not stop her at all. She tried her best to persuade Xiao Yuan's parents, but it still didn't help. Xiao Yuan was still taken home, and before leaving, she waved goodbye to Goosey I with a smile. Goosey I just felt exhausted physically and mentally. No matter how hard she tried, she was not Xiao Yuan's guardian and could not change their parents' minds. After Goosey I was depressed, she cheered up again. She planned to visit her home in 2 days and try to persuade her again. Advise their parents. But after Xiao Yuan gave up the operation, the next patient waiting for heart transplant surgery had to take up the quota. The patient was a young scientist. Goosey I originally wanted to fight for it, but the scientist's words shocked Goosey I. "Dr. Gu, the heart is a scarce resource. They have waited for 3 years to get a suitable heart. Which is more important, Saving a Down syndrome patient or saving a scientist. The scientist is Lin, a scientist in the aerospace field. Suffered from heart disease 10 years ago, and has been waiting in line, and he jumped in line. None of the hearts in front of him were suitable for him. He only had this heart, but Gu Ci erased his qualifications for queuing. Xiao Yuan and others, his time was longer than his, so it was only fair to give his heart to Xiao Yuan. Now, after hearing the scientist's remarks, Gu Ci laughed angrily. You think the value of your heart is higher than that of a Down syndrome patient, so it is only fair to give it to you because you are a person with a normal IQ and can contribute to scientific research. Can you provide value to society? Isn't it? I really don't understand what you are insisting on, Dr. Gu. Gu Ci's eyes turned red with anger, and she almost understood why Xiao Yuan's parents gave up the operation. She only felt angry and sad. Maybe you have a high IQ, a good birth, a very good family background, and can create value for society. But Mr. Lin, you only have one life. No matter who you are, respecting the equality of life is the basic principle of human beings. Even if you are Einstein, you cannot deprive Xiao Yuan of his right to live. If you are more worthy of this heart than Xiao Yuan, if one day I get a heart attack, then you are Xiao Yuan, and I can deprive you of the right to live. The scientist's face changed. Dr. Gu, you are so idealistic. Xiao Yuan's sacrifice is valuable. Soldiers defend their home and country, voluntarily sacrifice one person and save 10,000 people. They are heroes. The sacrifice of innocent people is an inhumane moral kidnapping. Why can you represent Xiao Yuan? No matter how perfect you package yourself, in essence, it goes against human nature and is a crime. Gu Ci was furious. Once such social norms become popular, how many people will lose the right to live because money can buy their livers, their kidneys, and even their lives? The scientist spread his hands with a chuckle. What should we do? Xiao Yuan's family has given up on the operation, and I am in urgent need of this heart. If you don't give it to me, you are murdering me, Dr. Gu. I won't write meaningless plots. This one will go over the events first. I won't update it tonight. Mercury has been retrograde recently. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 793. Chapter 793. Gu Ziyu investigates the case. Although Gu Ci was angry, she was really helpless. Xiao Yuan gave up the operation. The person who received the heart was the scientist. She could not force Xiao Yuan to perform the operation. She had no power. Gu Ci felt a deep sense of powerlessness. Instead, Lu Ziwen comforted her. After the patient leaves the hospital, unless he relapses, he should have nothing to do with you. If you cannot treat this matter calmly, you will encounter more patients in the future, and they will all have various difficulties. It will be even more uncomfortable. Being a doctor means you have to be calmer. Gu Ci's character is actually very suitable for being a doctor. She is originally a cold-blooded person, but she is easy to be soft-hearted towards children. Perhaps because of Gu Ziyu's childhood, she is very soft-hearted towards the children in the ward and tries her best to treat them. Prioritize solving their problems. Xiao Yuan has been hospitalized all year round. She has had a lot of contact with him during this period, so she naturally has feelings for him. Gu Ci is still very sure that the operation will be successful. Now, it is difficult for her to accept this situation. Especially the words of the scientist made her feel even more sad. She also checked the bank account of Xiao Yuan's parents and found that there was indeed an extra 800,000 yuan. 800,000 yuan bought Xiao Yuan's life. Xiao Yuan was going to encounter another planet. It was impossible to get a suitable heart, and their parents would not agree to a mechanical one. Even if she paid for it, they were afraid that Xiao Yuan would become a burden to their second child. I feel very sad. Gu Xi hugged him aggrievedly. I can obviously save him. You have done a good job. This matter has nothing to do with you. Lu Ziwen comforted him gently. His guardian is not you. Gu Xi tried hard to digest the incident, but 3 days later, she heard the news that Xiao Yuan had a heart attack and passed away. Originally, she didn't know about it. Xiao Yuan had no contact with the hospital after he was discharged. It was Xiao Yuan who left the hospital. Xiao Yuan found a toy in the ward, and the nurse brought it to her. After learning the news, Xiao Yuan suffered a heart attack and was sent to the nearby central hospital. However, rescue efforts failed and died. Xiao Yuan's parents also signed an organ donation agreement and donated all his healthy organs. Donated to those in need. After Gu Xi heard about it, she felt even more uncomfortable. The little nurse said, "Dr. Gu, Xiao Yuan's heart problem is already serious, and we can't stop it. Don't worry about it." I know. The nurse station was discussing this matter, and the head nurse said, "After organ donation, it is another form of survival." Gu Xi smiled bitterly. The person is gone, that is, he is gone. Even if the person who survives with his organs is not Xiao Yuan, it is just that he can save more people, which is a kind of comfort. Gu Xi came to the hospital. It was relatively rare for him to come to the hospital during work hours. "Baby, are you feeling unwell?" Gu Xi touched his forehead. The temperature was normal. The seasons have changed recently and there have been more flus. She also asked Gu Xi to get a flu shot. Gu Xi showed off his muscles. She said she was strong and healthy and didn't need it, so she refused to get vaccinated no matter what. "I have something to come to see Mom." Gu Xi smiled. The young man came with milk tea and shared it with the head nurse's ladies. He was so sweet that the head nurse didn't envy Gu Xi for having such a younger brother. Although Gu Xi kept calling Gu Xi's mother, no one would regard them as mother and son. She brought Gu Xi to the office. Gu Xi said, "I'm here to ask about Lu Yuan." "Xiao Yuan, he was my patient. He was discharged from the hospital a few days ago due to a heart attack and just passed away." "What happened?" Gu Xi's heart skipped a beat. The cases Gu Xi encountered were usually major cases. "Mom, we are currently investigating a human organ trafficking case. I suspect that Lu Yuan is the latest victim, so I came to find out about his situation. He has been staying in Nanjing Hospital for almost 3 years. I looked at the medical records and found that his condition has always been, he was very stable. He had a heart attack less than 3 days after returning home and was sent to the central hospital. Nanjing Hospital was even closer. I checked the records and they didn't call 120 that night." Gu Xi looked at him very seriously, "so I came to find out about the situation from my mother. By the way, I want to know. Lu Yuan has a history of heart disease for many years. Lu Yuan's parents should have some first aid knowledge. Is it normal that he didn't call 120 and was sent to a central hospital farther away?" Gu Xi was startled, and the fear in her heart deepened. Domestic organ trafficking cases are still less rampant than those abroad. The control is very strict, and it is not so easy to take action. If it falls into the hands of ZIU, it will definitely be a big case. Lu Yuan's parents have first aid capabilities. Speaking of which, I thought it was strange at the time. Lu Yuan has lived in the central hospital for several years and is very familiar with us. After a sudden myocardial infarction, they should call 120 as soon as possible and send someone to the hospital. Nanjing Hospital and the emergency center will also give priority to Nanjing Hospital, unless the family members strongly request to be sent to the central hospital. I didn't think much about it at the time. His heart problem was serious, myocardial infarction, the probability was very high. There was indeed something unreasonable in this matter. I didn't think much about it at the time, I just thought Lu Yuan's parents were ashamed of us, so they didn't send him here. Is he a victim of organ trafficking? Gu Ziyou nodded. I haven't proven it yet, but if it is true, I will find evidence. I will first understand his condition and his family's situation. He has been hospitalized for many years. I think the doctors and nurses will know their family better. Gu Si understood. I understand. Gu Ziyou trusted Gu Si and knew that she would not talk about the case. In theory, the patient has to schedule organ donation, but his organs are all designated for a certain person. His cornea, liver, and kidneys all have designated people. He is either rich or noble, so I have reason to suspect that his parents sold his organs to others instead of donating them normally. Gu Si felt cold all over after hearing this. She clenched her teeth tightly and slowly told Ziyu everything she knew. She also analyzed the channels and processes after organ donation. This kind of designation is given to someone, and it is one person's organ designation for multiple people was obviously premeditated. This is murder. How come there are such parents? It was already afternoon when Gu Ziyou came out of Nanjing Hospital. After the doctor called Lu Yuan's parents for a checkup, Gu Ziyou and his people quietly entered his house to conduct a checkup. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 794. Chapter 794 Yeling's Sincerity. 3 kilograms of gold and a small bag of diamonds were found in Lu Yuan's home. No wonder no account abnormalities were found except for the money that the scientist transferred to their account. They used gold and diamonds to trade. This was also hard circulation. Gu Ziyou was wearing gloves, said calmly, catch people. Yes. Lu Yuan's parents were arrested quickly. Because Lu Yuan's mother was a pregnant woman, the arresting officers were extra careful for fear of accidents and sent obstetricians and gynecologists to accompany them at all times. Lu Yuan's parents were sent to solitary confinement. During the interrogation in the cubicle, Lu Yuan's mother was a pregnant woman. Chen Liangdong told them to be very careful not to have any accidents, and Lu Yuan's father could be strengthened. Lu Yuan's mother strongly denied that she sold her child's organs. Lu Yuan was born with Down syndrome and suffered from heart disease. The medical expenses over the past 10 years have been nearly 2 million. We love him, so we have sold everything to treat him. How could we intentionally kill him? He is my first child and my baby. I can never kill him. Then what happened to the 800,000 yuan in your card? The interrogator asked, holding the slip. The payer was Lin Xian, who was in urgent need of heart surgery. Coincidentally, after Lu Yuan gave up the operation, the money that originally belonged to Lu Yuan, the heart, is now his. Lin Xian admitted that he came to you and bought the heart for 800,000 yuan, so you gave up the operation. How can you explain it? Lu Yuan's mother was startled and trembling all over. He's talking nonsense, I didn't, no. She was struggling helplessly. Being handcuffed was no help and she was covered in sweat. The doctor suggested that the interrogation should be stopped and that she should not be forced anymore. Chen Liangdong also signaled for the people inside to come out. Lu Yuan's father was not so gentle during the interrogation. Lu Yuan's father also denied it at first. After seeing the running water, he was very shocked. I didn't know there were these 800,000 yuan at all. I had no idea what was going on. He was stunned, as if he had thought of something. His eyes were red, his lips were trembling and he was choked up until he could not speak. Lu Yuan's father said, I really don't want to treat my child. We are childhood sweethearts and have a deep relationship. From school uniforms to wedding dresses, our relationship is very good. After Lu Yuan was born, we loved him very much even though he had Down syndrome. Treat him, police officer, you didn't put a child with Down syndrome and a heart disease. You don't know how difficult it is to take care of him. He is 12 years old, but he only has the IQ of a 4 or 5-year-old. He can't live without people at all times. My wife and I were both developing well, but we needed one person to take care of him alone, so my wife quit her job and stayed at home to take care of him full time. We took care of him for 12 years. How many times did he collapse, and how many times we could only hold him in his arms. We cried to each other, and we never thought about giving up on him. But after my wife became pregnant, we had the idea of giving up the operation. The operation was very expensive, and we didn't know what would happen after the operation. We still had a child to take care of. It was really hard. We are exhausted both physically and mentally and cannot take care of our 2 children. Even if Lu Yuan recovers, he will be a burden on his younger brother in the future. How can we bear it? We can take care of Lu Yuan for a lifetime, so why should our younger brother bear our responsibilities? His health will suffer from various problems in the future. We are really tired of all kinds of problems, but we will never kill him intentionally. This is the same as having no filial son before a long illness. Who is willing to take care of an elderly person who is paralyzed in bed for 10 years without feeling resentful and calm? Not necessarily. A child with disabilities and a short life expectancy can get 800,000 yuan if he gives up the operation. So, you are excited? Thinking that you have raised a child, his cornea, his liver, his kidneys, and even his blood, are all money. It's hard not to be tempted after a person gets millions for nothing. Greed is his nature. You think that he will not live long anyway, so you might as well contribute more to the family before he leaves. If you can get a huge sum of money and be blessed by your parents, it's natural for you to sell it, right? No, no, he is my son. You don't know about the 800,000 in the card, but how do you explain the gold and diamonds at home? The judge took out the gold and diamonds. The man panicked, more like shocked. What gold? What diamond? The interrogator asked, am I to understand that you know nothing about selling children's organs, nor the 800,000 yuan in your bank card? Everything is your wife's behavior and has nothing to do with you. Lu Yuan's father was shocked. It's impossible. My wife loves her children very much. She won't do this. It's impossible. Please answer the question directly. Gu Zia was napping on the sofa, looking a little sleepy, and hugging Winnie the Pooh. A little brother took a blanket and covered him. When Chen Liangdong came out, Gu Zia was still snoring and interrogated Lu Yuan. It was not difficult for the couple to get married, but they still struggled until 8 o'clock in the evening. A clerk in the information room complained, this man is really nothing. He actually pushed everything to his wife. It's a bit weird. The girl was even more indignant. Gu Zia didn't even raise his eyelids. His wife is pregnant, and he has a shield, so he is naturally unscrupulous. We also guessed that his wife actually admitted it. I really don't know what was going on in her mind, the girl complained. Both of these couples are not good people. All their sons' organs were sold. Poor child, fortunately he is a mentally retarded child. He didn't know his parents were so cruel, otherwise he would be so sad. Gu Zia said calmly, children have the purest hearts. I know who loves him and who doesn't. Bao, if you're tired, just go home and sleep. I haven't eaten dinner yet. Do you want me to get you some takeout? I'm not hungry. Gu Zia was in a low mood, which was rare. Gu Zia was in good condition at work. He was always full of enthusiasm. Everyone looked at each other and spread their hands innocently. They didn't know who provoked him. Chen Liangdong came out and took Gu Zia to have dinner. He didn't eat dinner either. The two of them went to a fried rice noodle shop not far from the work building. Gu Zia said, why did Ye Ling provide us with this clue? Showing goodwill or surrendering, you will know who is caught in the end. Chen Liangdong thought thoughtfully. This case was reported anonymously. Although it was anonymous, Guzio's ability could quickly find out that it was Yeling. The person who reported it was given no clues and was given an investigation list. This was a shocking and major case. It had been in operation for many years and the system was mature. There is a mature system from hospitals to patients, buyers, and sellers. Such cases are rare in China. They are all unorganized. For such a large-scale and well-organized criminal group, there must be a big fish behind the scenes. Yelling to give them this clue, they must have heard rumors recently that Zhang Junlin refused to give him the Jidao and complained about his mental state. If he wanted to win Zhang Junlin's trust, he had to work hard, but he didn't expect that he would learn from Guzi I get started. It's been 5 years since the first person to receive a transplant in such a long time, no case has been filed, Guzio said expressionlessly, even Nanjing Hospital has doctors involved. There is no need to overturn a whole boat because of an individual. Criminals who violate public order and good customs cannot represent everyone. Chen Liangdong chuckled and said, there are still many good doctors, just like your mother. Lin Xian's operation was successful, Guzio sneered, it really gave him an advantage. The heart that belonged to Lu Yuan was still given to the scientist, which kept him alive. He did buy back his life with 800,000 yuan, but Lu Yuan went to heaven forever. Even if they knew the truth, they couldn't stop him. Destroy the source of the heart? No. That is an organ that can save a person, it is a life. Just like Lu Yuan's corneas, kidneys, liver, even if their whereabouts are found, they can't stop the operation. Behind them are the joys and sorrows of many families. Gu Si is sad and regretful, but there is nothing she can do. It is impossible to fight the scientists to the death. Otherwise, she would also be the executioner. Everything is so absurd, but normal. Buying and selling are the same crimes. If you survive, you can't escape. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 795. Chapter 795 Accompanying my wife for prenatal checkup. Gu Si went home on vacation on Sunday and asked Gu Ziu about the progress of the case. This major case is very complicated and involves many aspects. It is still under investigation. Gu Ziu said, Lu Yuan's father wants to blame everything on his wife. He escaped the blame because his wife was pregnant, but surveillance cameras showed him getting gold and diamonds. His wife was the one who knew nothing. She really didn't know that Lu Yuan's father gave up treatment for money. She was persuaded because she was afraid of the future of the child. She has become a burden, and the family really cannot afford to take care of Lu Yuan. She is about to give birth. She gave up Lu Yuan for the sake of the child who was about to be born. She can be blamed morally, but there is no legal problem. The gold and diamonds at home, she didn't know either. The investigator explained the ins and outs of this matter very clearly. Even if the man quibbled, he had no way to refute the matter. Lu Yuan's father finally couldn't bear it anymore and handed over the clues. There was a middleman charging fees for organ introduction and testing. The seller spending money to buy life-saving organs. The person who received Lu Yuan's cornea was an 8-year-old child from a wealthy family. He fell down while skiing and injured his eye, causing blindness in his right eye. His parents were in urgent need of life-saving corneas, so they worked through an intermediary. Other patients also have similar problems. When Gu Ziu was investigating this case, he felt very complicated. Mom, you are a doctor. If one day I lose my sight, will you buy me a pair of corneas? Gu Si was silent. She didn't know how to answer Gu Ziu's question for a moment. Everyone would do everything they could to protect their family, so crimes on this line were sheltered and hidden by countless people, so they were always in motion. A child with Down syndrome has saved many families with his cornea, liver, and kidneys. From a utilitarian perspective, it is indeed worthwhile, but who cares about the life of the child with Down syndrome? This is an unsolvable question. Zhang Junlin said calmly, you don't have to judge your own moral issues. What to do, just listen to your inner voice. Just do it and leave the judgment to others. There are also doctors in Nanjing Hospital who are making profits. Gu Ziu said, there are several cancer patients who should have lived for a few years if they were fighting cancer. The doctors persuaded their families to give up treatment and sign an organ donation agreement. The family and doctors get money from this, and some patients could have been cured. In fact, this is a very scary thing. If one day, my liver has a problem and I need a liver transplant, the liver transplant match is not that easy. My mother had a patient who had a stomach problem but had a very good liver. In order to save me, my mother changed the patient's report and made him die early, and took away his liver and gave it to me. So scary. The right to life is in the hands of a few people, who can decide who lives and who dies. So, even though he was feeling emotional, he still wanted to catch this group of people in one go. In addition to the medical staff profiting from it, they also need specialized operating rooms and someone to help them operate them. A lot of people are involved, right? Ji Xian frowned slightly. This kind of large-scale organized crime is still relatively rare in China. Rare? It's not that it's rare, it's that it's well hidden. Zhang Junlin did not comment on this. He knew who provided the clue. This was supposed to be Ye Lingjin's first major case. After detection, it would quickly enhance his personal dignity and status, but it was revealed to Gu Ziu. He knew what Ye Ling was up to. Others are still in Paris and have reached out to the country. Qin Wan naturally knew what Zhang Junlin and Chen Liangdong were busy with recently, and had heard a little bit about this case. Chen Liangdong and Gu Ziu were both investigating the matter. Rong Li made several appointments with her, but she turned them down to avoid suspicion. Both North and Chen Liangdong were busy that day. North wanted to take time off to accompany her to the prenatal checkup, but Qin Wan stopped her. There had been a lot of things going on recently. She was living a vigorous life by herself, and there was no problem with the prenatal checkup. North repeatedly he told her to tell her something. When Qin Wan packed her things and went downstairs, she saw Rong Li's car. Qin Wan was stunned and asked, "Why are you here? Shall I accompany you to the hospital?" Qin Wan. This information is really well informed, but considering his profession, Qin Wan didn't bother to argue. The two of them were silent along the way, and Rong Li didn't force her to make a decision. During this time, he bought Qin Wan a lot of money. There was something missing, so North and Chen Liangdong thought it was Qin Wan shopping online. This is the first time he has accompanied Qin Wan for a prenatal checkup. Rong Li said, "I will accompany you for every prenatal checkup in the future." "No, I'm fine alone. This time is a special situation. Both parents are busy, but it may not be the case next time." Her father will not be happy to see Rong Li. Rong Li didn't say anything. Qin Wan saw that his attitude was very determined and his mood was very complicated. Qin Wan was very familiar with the prenatal checkup process. When she was lying on the hospital bed, she automatically lifted up her clothes. She was already 3 months pregnant. She was already a little pregnant, but it was not obvious. She was wearing a sweater that perfectly covered her figure. She had low body fat, had a poor appetite in the early stages of pregnancy, and didn't eat much. It was estimated that she would not be pregnant until April or May. The prenatal doctor was quite surprised to see Rong Li. Qin Wan said, "Auntie, this is the baby dad." "Oh, it's the first time we meet, what do you call me?" "Rong Li." "It looks good, the baby should be good looking," the doctor said cheerfully. He could hear the fetal heartbeat at 3 months and could check the fetal development. The doctor pointed to the picture and said, "These are the legs and this is the face." Rong Li looked at it. There was a dark mass, but I couldn't tell that it was legs or face. The doctor also said that he looks good. Rong Li thought to himself, what can this tell? But he did not dare to question the doctor. Moi. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 796. Chapter 796, Pregnant Women Torture People. There were some prenatal check UPS, which was inconvenient for Rong Li, so he waited for her at the door. "Brother, how many months is your wife's pregnancy?" asked a passerby who was waiting for his wife's prenatal checkup at the same door. 3 months, Rong Li asked. "What about you?" "My daughter-in-law is 6 months old and has anorexia. She vomits whatever she eats. I'm so worried that I can't sleep all night." The passerby brother is a great social person. "She has a bad appetite and a bad temper. It's quite torturous. She's pregnant and I'm fat. I've gained 10 pounds, I'm stressed out, and I'm worried." Rong Li can only sympathize. A passerby brother asked, "I see you are radiant. What's the secret?" "I don't live with her." The passerby brother looked at him with a very strange look. "Your wife is pregnant, and you won't take care of her. You don't know that my wife wants to have hot pot at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Where can I find a hot pot restaurant at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night?" Rong Li frowned. "Why don't you do it yourself?" The passerby brother was stunned. "Are you serious? Eat hot pot at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night? Don't she want to eat? You can't let her eat hot pot at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night even if you want to." "Why not?" "Oh my God, are you leaving your daughter-in-law to be taken care of by your parents? It hurts to stand and talk." "Brother, you will know after serving a troublesome pregnant woman for 6 months. I often run out to buy her strawberries at 12 o'clock in the middle of the night, or, if you want to eat imported food, what's the difference between imported food and domestic food? Imports are expensive." Brothers passing by. They couldn't talk anymore. Qin checked out, interrupting their friendly exchange. Rong Li said sorry and left with Qin. "Do you need some medicine?" "No, my fetus is very stable." "Then I will take you to dinner." After a prenatal checkup, Qin was also hungry. Rong Li took her to a Cantonese restaurant for dinner. Qin had little appetite. Her appetite was up and down. The 5 dishes Rong Li ordered were not enough, and she even drank a glass juice. The amazing thing is that she didn't feel full after eating it. Rong Li was worried that she would accumulate food and did not eat anything. He thought of the words of a passerby in the hospital, "How is your appetite lately? If there is anything you want to eat, you can tell me." Qin had a good appetite, but she didn't particularly want to eat. The two of them didn't talk about any extremely out-of-bounds topics, and they both had a tacit understanding. Qin didn't want to go home so early after eating, so Rong Li accompanied her to eat. They both chose safer topics and chatted wordlessly. The sunlight stretched the shadows between the two of them. Qin asked, "Don't you work?" "It's a working day today, so free." "I'm the boss, so I can miss work," Rong Li said calmly. "He works year-round, and he doesn't know how many vacations he has accumulated. There is nothing special for him to deal with recently, so he can spend the whole day with Qin." Qin discovered that this reckless man had become gentler in his speech recently and was less aggressive. "I'm going home." Qin didn't want to create too much ambiguity and misunderstanding. Rong Li nodded. "Okay, I'll see you off." The car stopped in front of the house. Before Qin got out of the car, Rong Li said, "If you want to eat anything, let me know at any time." "Oh." Qin looked at his retreating figure with mixed emotions. This person was always straightforward, but he didn't ask her about her decision today. Qin shook her head and didn't intend to stop. It was useless to think about it. At 2 o'clock in the middle of the night, Rong Li was woken up by a phone call. He was very angry, but when he saw that it was Chinwan who called, his anger dropped a little. What happened? I told you what you wanted to eat. Say it. Rong Li glanced at the clock next to him and called him at 2 o'clock in the morning. I didn't eat much for dinner, so I woke up hungry. The rice cooked by my dad was too bland and I didn't like it. I wanted to eat skewers and fried noodles. It's the one on the right side of the Kyoan building. The fried noodles are very spicy. Now. Yes, they are open until 3 o'clock. You can drive there and you still have time, Chinwan said. You have to be quick when you go out. You can order any skewers. I like to eat them all, so order more. Rong Li, okay. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 797. Chapter 797 link after link. When Rong Li drove to the fried rice noodle shop, the boss was about to get off work. The last customer had left. Business was relatively deserted today. They also planned to finish work early. The fire in the stove was extinguished. Rong Li begged the boss to prepare another one. The boss waved his hand. I don't want to do his business anymore, young man, you can come back tomorrow. Boss, please make another one. My wife is pregnant and can't eat lately, so she can only eat your fried noodles. She often comes to your house to eat, and she is an old customer. The boss didn't believe it, so Rong Li found Chinwan's photo. The boss smiled brightly and said, it's little Cherry. Okay, okay, okay. I made it for her. Is she pregnant? Congratulations, congratulations. I said I haven't seen him for a while. But her dad comes often. For such a big official, he has no heirs at all. He is a good person. The boss gave her a thumbs up, and Rong Li stood aside silently. The boss knew Chinwan's taste, so he prepared more than a dozen skewers of barbecue for her, and the stove fire started again. You are lucky, you have a beautiful wife, father-in-law. That's good, a good family. Yes, Rong Li didn't explain much. The boss is a chatterbox. How many months are you pregnant? 3 months. I didn't hear the director say there was a happy event, so low-key. Rong Li couldn't answer the question, so he could only remain silent. The fried noodles will be ready in just a few minutes. It is relatively close to Chen Liangdong's house. It only takes 10 minutes to drive there. The fried noodles get cold easily and taste bad after cooling. The boss specially gave him an insulated bag. She has a strong taste, but I'm pregnant. It's not too spicy. Don't get too used to it. I didn't add too much pepper. You can come here anytime you want. Okay, thank you, boss. After Rong Li took the meal, he went downstairs to Chinwan's house and sent her a message. The lights in Chinwan's room turned on. It was past 3 in the morning and everyone was asleep. Chen Liangdong and North had a healthy schedule. She was fast asleep at 0 o'clock in the morning, and Chinwan did not dare to be too presumptuous in inviting Rong Li in. She wrapped herself in a thick pajama and wore slippers and secretly went out. She put Rong Li into the yard and ate in the yard outside. Chinwan's mouth watered when she smelled the aroma of fried noodles. She felt so happy after taking one sip. I finally came to life. This was the first time that Rong Li saw such a lively Chinwan. She wore no makeup and messy hair. She was wrapped in a gray cotton pajamas and cotton slippers. She ate so much that the corners of her mouth were filled with chili oil. Look at how she felt when she ate. This is the most delicious meal in the world. Would you like some? She asked politely while eating mutton skewers. Rong Li had a full dinner and was not hungry. Mainly because he was afraid that she would not eat enough. You can eat, I'm not hungry. It would be perfect if I could have some cold beer. You can't drink. I'm going to get some sparkling water. Chinwan came in quietly. opened the refrigerator and took out a bottle of sparkling water. Wrongly frowned, "It's spicy, it's hot, and you drink ice. No, will I have a stomachache? No, I have an iron stomach." No, wrongly took away the sparkling water she had just opened without any explanation, "You can't drink ice. You should go to bed immediately after eating." "Give it back to me." Chinwan reached out to grab it, but wrongly avoided it. Chinwan was furious and wanted to curse, but wrongly won with one move, "If you speak louder, you will wake up your parents." Chinwan glared at him. Wrongly had a very good idea and refused to give it to her. "It will get cold if you don't eat it." She chose a late-night snack between sparkling water and a midnight snack. The weather in early spring was still very cold at night, but Chinwan ate warmly and even crossed the river and demolished the bridge. "I'm full, you can go home." Wrongly didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and there was nothing he could do about it. "You can tell me whatever you want to eat." Chinwan raised his eyebrows and waved his hand. Early the next morning, she overslept. North made breakfast and called her. Chinwan couldn't get up at all, and she wasn't hungry. North didn't care about her. Chen Liangdong found the bag in the trash can with a question mark on it. "He often eats at this store. The owner's daughter goes to college to study design. The bags in their store are designed by her daughter, and the owner and Chen Liangdong even show off. Don't bark if she doesn't want to eat. She ordered a late-night snack last night. You see." Dr. North frowned slightly when he saw the bag. "His store can't order takeout after 12 o'clock. I haven't had it at that time. Sleep." Chen Liangdong raised his eyebrows. Maybe he was hungry in the middle of the night and asked to run errands. North and Chen Liangdong had trouble in the office. They went to the company first. Chen Liangdong left relatively late. The old man Chen next door came out for a walk slowly and greeted Chen Liangdong. "Old Chen, you are not kind. Your daughter is in love and you didn't tell us. We are still enthusiastic about introducing someone to your daughter." "Little Cherry is not in love, she is single," Chen Liangdong said with a smile. "Are you walking your dog so early? I was woken up by your son-in-law last night and couldn't fall asleep. I gave your daughter a supper at 3 o'clock in the morning and ate it in the yard. It was very noisy." Chen Liangdong's face changed slightly. "I'm sorry for disturbing your peace. Children are not sensible. I'll talk to her later." Mr. Chen, who was in charge of the financial sector, asked confusedly, "What does your son-in-law do? It looks familiar to me." "What kind of son-in-law?" "He doesn't have a single character, so he is probably her friend. None of us have ever been young, so what kind of friendship do you have to bring supper to a girl at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night? You look like you can't let go of your daughter." Chen Liangdong said bitterly, "Lao Chen, I'm going to work first. You walk the dog slowly." As soon as the car door closed, Chen Liangdong's expression changed. He wanted to call Chinwan, but he also thought about Chinwan's late-night snack at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. He probably wouldn't fall asleep until 4 or 5 o'clock, but he couldn't bear it. He was so angry that he didn't know who to scold. Therefore, the pressure in the morning meeting was low, and the people below did not dare to take a breath, for fear of saying something wrong and being punished. Chen Liangdong was always cheerful, and he was very good at teaching people a lesson. Guzio said, "Old man, what's wrong with you? Are you feeling unwell? It's okay, go to work." Guzio led the team to investigate the organ trafficking case, and finally got some clues. He also knew why Yeling disclosed the case to them. Guzio took the information and reported it to Chen Liangdong. "This is a hot potato, it's up to you to take care of it." Guzio put the information in front of his case. This case also involved a deputy bureau deputy from the Special Intelligence Bureau, who was the most promising person to take over. This man's surname is Liu. He is 51 years old. He was working in another province 10 years ago. Kidney stones caused kidney failure. He waited for several years for a kidney source. Finally, he purchased a kidney source through an international organization. From then on, he entered the abyss. He became a middleman for international organ trafficking organizations and helped them expand their domestic business sectors. Deputy Liu's channels were able to help them resolve many disputes. This person can be regarded as an enemy of Chen Liangdong, and there is a large circle involved behind him, all of whom are Chen Liangdong's enemies. This can be regarded as Ye Ling's sincerity. It's really messed up, and it's all fishy. The person who offended was Chen Liangdong. Although the benefits were too great to refuse, it also cleared the way for Ye Ling. Ye Ling diverted trouble to the east, gave favors, and cleared stumbling blocks, but he himself did not touch it. Body. How smart, Chen Liangdong narrowed his eyes. I can't refuse this gift yet. How old is Ye Ling this year? 21. Chen Liangdong thought thoughtfully, even if I accept this big gift, he can't pass the review. What else will he give in exchange? Furthermore, Ye Ling must have been a deputy at the beginning. Then it's none of our business. We'll take care of it, Gu Zio said, then I'll apply for an arrest warrant. It's hard to say whether I can apply for it. Don't go, let Li Gang go, Chen Liangdong said, you are too young to suppress the situation. Okay, Gu Zio had no objection. He didn't want to go to the arrest. He went out to make a report, but then the arrest warrant couldn't be approved. Gu Zio had already expected it. Old man, you go and negotiate. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 798. Chapter 798. Father's love is like a mountain. Zhang Junlin was very dissatisfied after reading Gu Zio's investigation report. On the surface, Ye Ling gave Gu Zio a favor, but in fact, he used Gu Zio to clear the way for him, and a deputy bureau position became vacant. He is only 21 years old, and it is impossible for him to become a full-time member immediately. He will have to stay in the deputy directorate for at least 5 years, and this must be under the condition that he performs well and has outstanding work ability. Zhang Junlin is now curious about how he will pass. After review, he is still a senior psychopath, a psychopath in the true sense. Is the special situation so hungry and unscrupulous? Zhang Junlin didn't believe it. No matter how talented he was, he wouldn't be so bottomless. There were so many influential people in the world, why did he insist on Ye Ling? The Mu family won't be swayed if they don't give them a clear card. Gu Zio came home after get off work and told him that the arrest warrant could not be approved. However, the case was filed and the search warrant was approved. All the properties at home were searched. There was nothing suspicious. Gu Zio suspected that he had opened a business abroad. Offshore account. He even wanted to hack the Swiss bank's customer list, but whether he was in it or not, Zhang Junlin told him there was no need to make a big fuss and check the related companies under his family's name. There was no need to alert the snake first. Now he was more important than Gu Zio. More urgently, if there is a real crime or special money transaction, the evidence will be destroyed. Chen Liangdong didn't get it done even if he tried to deal with it today. Gu Zio said, I had no news before I got off work, so I told them to take a rest first. This situation is more complicated. Even if we want to erase him, we should do it quietly. We are suppressing it now and don't want to make it public. Zhang Junlin could understand that such a high-profile investigation would probably end up all at once. Chen Liangdong also understood the stakes involved, and would not really end up all at once. The purpose of relaxing for a few days was to discuss a countermeasure for them, whether to catch them all in one go, or to abandon the car and save the commander. This is their game. Gu Zio can do less. Zhang Junlin said, don't touch such complicated things for the time being. I know, Gu Zio said, in the whole matter, although I am the main investigator, others are the ones who came forward. Zhang Junlin nodded, and Gu Ziu asked, "Uncle, if Ya Ling can trust you, it doesn't matter if you give it to him." "Let's talk about it." Zhang Junlin has his own considerations and will not change his decision easily because of anyone's words. Moreover, he has absolute initiative in this matter. No one can intervene in the overseas affairs of the Ji-Dao beyond Zhang Junlin. Only Zhang Junlin can intervene. He decides where to end. Chen Liangdong returned home in the evening. Although he failed to achieve his goal, the situation was not bad. He had expected it. Qin Wan was alone at home. Chen Liangdong asked with a smile, "Didn't you go out today?" "I spent some time outside in the sun and planted pumpkins. It's a good season for sowing." Chen Liangdong smiled as he picked vegetables in the small garden. "What do you want to eat tonight?" "Dad, let's hire a cook." Qin Wan happily followed him and watched him pick vegetables. "You work hard and you have to go home to cook. How hard it is. Both you and your mother are not used to having an outsider in the house." "Why do you ask, Auntie?" Dr. North is used to being alone and has had a special experience. He is very wary and doesn't like having an extra person in the house. "I don't even cook every day." "Thank you for your hard work, I still have to cook and eat while you are away." He and North, whoever gets off work early, have to do housework. In fact, it is not too heavy. When doing housework, it is easier to think, "Little Cherry, does the food not suit your appetite? I see you ordered something to eat in the middle of the night." "No, I have a big appetite, and the kids want food." Qin Wan didn't make any more comments since he didn't cook. "I like to eat all the food you cook." Chen Liangdong said with a smile, "If you are hungry, wake up Dad and cook noodles for you. It is not appropriate to run errands in the middle of the night." Qin Wan rolled his eyes and said, "Dad, there is something in your words. Although our house is a single-family house, our neighbors are not far apart. Let's just say next door. It's Lao Cheng's family. He is the chairman of the Financial Association. He just retired a few years ago. He is not in good health and sleeps lightly at night. If there is any trouble, he will be there. Wake up." Once the old man wakes up at night, he can't sleep again, Chen Liangdong said softly. Qin Wan is so smart, he understands it as soon as he hears it. "Dad, you said it straight, but you still beat around the bush." "I'm not mincing words. When someone goes out to walk his dog in the morning, he complains that you woke him up, and he doesn't sleep all night." Qin Wan clicked his tongue. If he sleeps with such a large window open, he will certainly be woken up. "I will suggest him to close the window later." Chen Liangdong. His daughter is not afraid of boiling water. Chen Liangdong can only say clearly, "Dad does not agree with your marriage to Rong Li." "What are you talking about? It's not even a matter of words. Are you in a relationship?" "No." "Why did he buy you something at 3 in the morning?" "I'm hungry. Besides, the child is his, so I can't be a father comfortably," Qin Wan said confidently. "Then do you like him?" "I don't like it," Qin Wan said. "What you are worried about will not happen. If you really like him, then tell Dad." "Dad, if I really like him, will you help me?" "I will," Chen Liangdong said. "Fame, wealth, and fortune are all external things, and you are more important. But I will arrange it well and not shake the status of Ziu and Zhang Junlin. They will be your backing." Qin Wan's nose was sour. The Chinese way of expressing love is always very reserved. Chen Liangdong himself is a very reserved person, but he told his wife and daughter how much he loved them without hesitation, warmly and straightforwardly. In Qin Wan's heart, her parents may not be as important as Zhang Junlin, but at this moment she can feel the chicken soup truth: you should never expect that someone will love you more than your parents. They truly love you unconditionally. "Dad, I don't want you to retire. You are my hero. You must shine in your position. It is a career you love. You will not have a dilemma. Even if I like wrongly one day in the future, it will not be enough. You give up your career. I don't like sacrifice. Jinwan said what was in his heart. I will not hurt you for a man. Silly girl, this is not harm. This is life. It will not be 100% satisfactory. We can only enjoy every day within our capabilities. Chen Liangdong chuckled and said, he is the father of the child. I will not stop you. Don't meet up near home, gossip is not good. He was worried that Qinwan would be criticized. I know. Qinwan raised his finger, I won't do it again. Before Rong Li went to bed, he specifically asked Qinwan, is there anything you particularly want to eat? Qinwan said, no, today is all my favorite dishes. I'm not hungry at all. Go to bed early and have a good night. Rong Li was very measured and didn't get entangled. Qinwan also said good night in reply. What? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 799. Chapter 799 Angel in White. Gu Ci met Lu Yuan's mother in the hospital. She looked haggard and very thin. She had not seen her for just half a month, and she had lost a lot of weight. She was very embarrassed when she saw Gu Ci, and avoided Gu Ci without saying hello. Gu Ci could understand her mood, and she felt uncomfortable inside. She couldn't help but wonder if everything would have been different if she had persisted a little longer. At noon in the cafeteria, Gu Ci had dinner with Dr. Zhou from the obstetrics and gynecology department. Talking about Lu Yuan's mother, Dr. Zhou said, her pregnancy condition was not good. She looked like she was going to give birth prematurely. The baby was only 7 months old, so I asked her to come. She was kept in the hospital for observation first, but she refused and could only stay in bed when she returned home. Her parents-in-law treated her very badly. They kept complaining about Lu Yuan because she was born with a defect. Now that her son has gone in and she is still pregnant, her parents-in-law treat her very badly. Trying to get her out of the house is a fool's errand. Lu Yuan's illegal income was confiscated. The 800,000 yuan was left to her. After all, it was not illegal income. He could only be blamed morally. But 800,000 yuan was not enough to raise a child, Gu Ci sighed. Dr. Zhou said, she is so depressed. She may not be able to keep the pregnancy. I will go to her house after get off work to avoid something really happening. Okay, thank you for your trouble. What does this mean? I can't see anything happening to a child who is about to be born. There is very little that doctors can do. Whether it is Dr. Zhou or Gu Ci, there is often nothing they can do. I forgot to congratulate you, you will be released in half a month. It's not a relief to be so busy just because I'm not in the hospital. It'll be good once you get past this stage. Gu Ci will be completely freed from this job in half a month. She is not so busy at work and has to start preparing for the wedding. The wedding is almost ready. Except for the bride being unavailable, everything is ready. At night, Dr. Zhou called her, crying in panic, Dr. Gu, Lu Yuan's mother is dead, 1 body and 2 lives. I really can't bear it. Why can't she get over it? What's going on? Gu Ci had just come out of the ward round and was shocked when he heard the news. I came to see her today. As soon as I arrived at her community downstairs, I saw a group of people watching. Lu Yuan's grandparents came to make trouble and insisted on driving her out. They said that she had given birth to Lu Yuan and that her son would not be admitted to the hospital. Lu Yuan's mother broke down and jumped from the building. The ambulance was slow to arrive during the rush hour. The baby was stillborn when she was stripped out. The old couple were still making trouble in the hospital. It was too much. They forced a pregnant woman to death. She is also pregnant with their grandson. Today, the old couple are crying in the hospital, crying that their grandson died before he was born. Only they know whether they regret it or not. Goosey's nose felt sour when she heard it. This was the next broken part of the crime. Family. Goosey I sat in the office for a long time, and she didn't even notice Lu Ziwen's arrival. Why are you so absent-minded? Goosey I suddenly stood up and hugged him. Lu Ziwen was startled, then gently stroked her long hair and hugged her tightly. The gentle embrace soothed Goosey's emotions, and she gained a brief moment of peace. This is a tragedy that cannot be changed by human power. Shall I take you out for a walk? Lu Ziwen said. In the past 6 months, he had not had a good time to relax between 2 o'clock and 1 line. I can't go, Goosey I looked up and said aggrievedly, I have an operation later. My angel in white, it's really hard work. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 800. Chapter 800, Sowing Discord. Goosey I has been in a bad mood recently. Lu Ziwen comes to see her almost every day when she is resting, occasionally bringing snacks and occasionally milk tea. He is a good person, and every time he brings a lot, which is shared by the entire department. The nurse station would also cover him up to avoid causing too much confusion. With him by his side, Goosey I felt much better during this period. This should be the lowest period of Goosey's medical career. Lu Ziwen thought, there must be such a stage, and it will be good after it is past. Birth, old age, illness, and death are natural human beings. Humans are not gods and cannot take care of everyone's joys and sorrows and health. She did her duty by doing the best she could. April, spring is warm and flowers are blooming. Gu Xianpo Jiozheng, Deputy Chief Physician, is an expert in the heart and neurology of Nanjing Hospital. She is famous for her reputation. She has only one outpatient clinic in a week, and she can grab the light as soon as she hangs out. Many patients cannot rank her number. Lu Yuan's incident has had a great impact. She is now more devoted to the patients themselves and puts more energy into communicating with their families. An organ trafficking case at Nanjing Hospital involved a chief doctor and 2 nurses. Removing their positions and transferring them to the judiciary will also have a certain impact on their reputation. The influence of Nanjing Hospital is not as good as that of the Central Hospital, and it started relatively late. This time, there was no incident at the Central Hospital. The Central Hospital is affiliated to the Lu family Chaebol, and has been doing so for so many years. He has good management. The entire medical team of Lu Ziwen's team is from the Central Hospital, so he will also be involved in the management of the hospital and has certain control capabilities. After this incident came out, Zhang Junlin knew that the director was innocent. With so many people in the hospital, people's hearts, it was impossible to take care of everyone, but Zhang Junlin still felt that the dean was old and had limited energy. He still had to teach. After the accident in the hospital, he held several meetings to make major rectifications. Goosey I took the management to communicate with the management of the Central Hospital to learn from their management experience. In addition, he also tried his best to restore the reputation of the hospital. Zhang Junlin has confirmed that he will separate the overseas affairs of GDAO. In this way, GDAO this is equivalent to reducing the business volume by half, and many personnel will also be arranged. The positions of Goosey I and North have some overlap. Zhang Junlin plans to hand over the full management of Nanjing Hospital to Goosey I, and she will become the director of Nanjing Hospital from now on. Brother, you haven't decided yet, okay? Goosey I asked. This matter has been dragging on for a while. All the organ trafficking cases have been solved and a group of people have been arrested. Almost all the guilty people in this line have been arrested. The special situation has been transferred to a deputy bureau. The future is considered to be over. They have been reported. Chen Liangdong did not obtain an arrest warrant at that time, but later asked General Mu to come forward. He went out to represent the military, which was not the same level. The case progressed very smoothly, which invisibly deepened everyone's suspicion of the Mu family and the Chen family breaking the ice. They were particularly afraid of them joining forces. Fortunately, the two followed up. Plain, no sign of deep friendship. It hasn't been decided yet. Before Zhang Junlin made a decision, he was still in charge of the Jidao. He never made any mistakes. He also deliberately exposed several flaws to test whether Ye Ling and General Mu would do anything to fight for power. No regard for the safety of one's own people. No matter whether they saw Zhang Junlin's intention or not, they always stood still. The Mu family invited Zhang Junlin as a guest as usual, wanting to give everyone the illusion that the two families had a deep friendship. Gu Ziu also joked that if Mu Yuan were a girl, he would definitely let his uncle, Lao Niu, eat tender grass, but it was a pity that he was born with the wrong gender. As soon as these words came out, the whole family fell silent. Gu Ziu met with hindsight. It seems, you were not born with the wrong gender. He doubted whether General Mu had ever thought about this, and shook his head. The steel-like man should not have such a concept, and did not say a word. Zhang Junlin expresses the central idea that men should start a family and start a career, and should not mix with men. Gu Ziu and Ji Xian said, "Brother, you must have a sense of crisis. Maybe the Mu family is really thinking about it and will do whatever it takes. Now that they are showing full sincerity, they just ask uncle, you whatever you want, we can satisfy you." No, Ji Xian waved his hand. Besides, with your brother's beauty, you are afraid that others will poach you. Gu Ziu raised his index finger and shook it. You are wrong. Although Mu Yuan is not very smart, he is also very good looking. He is a typical stupid beauty, and, he is young, 10 years younger than you. Ji Suan. Gu Ziu, you are really good at sowing discord. Ji Huan was too nervous about Zhang Junlin, and actually asked Zhang Junlin, "Brother, if you meet a better-looking man with a better personality, will you fall in love with him?" "It's just better-looking, but has a better personality," Zhang Junlin asked dumbfounded. "What does having a good personality have to do with you? Can you still make an analogy?" "There will be no updates today. My sister is positive. I will disinfect the whole house. I will update it when I have time." End of this chapter.